Children, so far we have completed the first 4 lessons. Fifth lesson is not required this time. So we are going to learn the 6th lesson, lines and angles. In this session we discuss some important basic terms and definitions of lines and angles. What do you know? What do you know about a line? What is it? Actually, a line is a set of points, infinite number of points arranged in a certain manner. So, to represent a line, we draw like this and put arrows on both sides, arrow marks. This represents a line. We can name any 2 points as AB. So we call this as line AB. AB. And represent this as line A. What is this? What is the meaning of arrow marks? No ending. Towards the right and towards the left, this has no ending. Such a figure is called a line. Line. Now, let us consider a part of this line from one point A, B. This part of the line has only one end point. And towards the right, there is no ending. Such a part of a line is called ray. This is a ray. Ray AB. We can represent it by this sign. Ray AB. One end point. Again consider part of the line of or a ray from A and B, between A and B, including A and B, points including A. What do you call this? This is a line segment A. Line segment AB, and which can be represented like this. Either line segment AB or simply AB. Line segment. Now, here A, B, we can choose another point C of this line C. Where do all these points lie? On the line. Now consider these points A, B, and C. Here we can C is outside the line, AB on the line, and we can join A and C. Then A and C are on the line or line segment, and if we extend this both sides, we get a line. But then at that time C is outside. Or if we join B and C, we can say that A is outside. Here, since A, B, and C lie on the same line, A, B, and C are called collinear points. Collinear points. These points are collinear. Whereas here A, B, and C, since C is not on this line, non-collinear points. Non-collinear points. A, B, and C in this case are non-collinear. So, if 3 or more points lie on the same line, they are called collinear points. Otherwise, non-collinear. Non-collinear points. This way. Ray AB. Ray AB. what is the endpoint of this ray AB? A. We can draw another ray with the same endpoint AB like this, and call this as ray AC. Ray AC. Ray AB and ray AC with common endpoint makes an angle, either this way or in the reverse way. Makes an angle, or generally we can say that BAC is an angle, and we can write it as angle BAC, or angle CAB. See the order: BAC, CAB. What is common? Common is the common endpoint. So this point is called the vertex of the angle. Angle BAC. Angle BAC can be represented in this manner or in this manner also. This is angle CAB. Angle CAB can be represented, and both of this representation gives us the same angle. So this common point of these rays, two rays with a common point, can make an angle. So what is an angle? An angle is made by two rays. If two rays meet at a common point, same point, common point, if their endpoints, if the endpoints of two rays are the same, then they make an angle. This common endpoint is called the vertex of the angle. Vertex. Then what is ray AB? Ray AB is called arm, an arm of the angle, an arm. Then what is ray AC? Another arm. So an angle has a vertex and two arms. Now, are you familiar with the many types of angles? What are the different kinds of angles? You heard acute angles, obtuse angles, right angles, like that. So let us begin with the different kinds of angles. So an angle which can be in this form. What do you know about the vertex or this measure of this angle? Let the measure of this angle be x degrees. Then, by observing this angle, we can understand that this angle is greater than, this measure is greater than 0 but less than 90. That is, we can write 0 less than x less than 90. What do you call such an angle? It is an acute angle. It is an acute angle. Now, suppose two arms make an angle whose measure is 90 degrees. Here x, 90 degrees. What do you call such an angle? Such an angle is called a right angle. Here x is equal to 90 degrees. Right angle. Right angle. Now let us consider an angle whose measure is greater than 90 but less than 180. Greater than 90 but less than 180. X degrees. What do you call such an angle? Here x lies between 90 and 180. 90 and 180. What do you call such an angle? It is an obtuse angle. Obtuse angle. And we can consider the angle made by a line with common point A. Here, what is the vertex of this angle? We can consider A as the vertex. What are the arms? From A towards the right. Then and second arm from A towards the left. That is complete in this way. What will be the measure of this angle? The measure of this angle x is, it is clear that it is 180 degrees. So here x is equal to 180 degrees. What do you call, what is the name of such an angle? Straight angle. Such an angle is called a straight angle. Now consider another kind of angle. Here angle is acute angle, and here we have this angle is 360 minus x degrees. 360 minus x degrees. This. So here where x 360 minus x degrees angle. This angle is called the reflux angle. Reflux angle of x. Reflux angle of x. 360 minus x degrees. How will you calculate the reflux angle of any given angle? If the measure of an angle is p degrees, then what is the measure of its reflux angle? What will be its reflux angle? 360 minus p. Here this is 180, again 180. Total angle around a point. Total angle around a point. Here this angle, the total angle around a point is at the vertex. So total measure is 360. If one measure is x, the other measure is 360 minus x degrees. Such an angle is called the reflux angle of x. Reflux angle of x degrees. Now, what are the different kinds of angles? Acute angles, right angle, obtuse angle, straight angle, and reflux angle. Now, this figure. What are the different angles given marked here? One, triangle BAC. BAC, let us measure the x degree. Triangle angle BAC. Angle BAC and angle DAC. Angle DAC. What is the peculiarity of these angles? They have a common vertex. The vertex of both the angles A. And they have a common arm AC. Common vertex and common arm. And actually these two angles formed on the line DB with a common vertex and an arm, common arm. An arm is common. Such two angles are called adjacent angles. That is, and here in this figure, angle BAC and angle DAC are adjacent angles. What is the meaning of adjacent? Near. Very near, common. Adjacent angles. Now, we can make adjacent angles in different ways. Here we have two angles. These are also adjacent angles. These two. Angle 1, angle 2 are adjacent angles. But if we draw angles in this way, angle 3, angle 4 are not adjacent angles. Adjacent. These two adjacent angles, we can consider this as a pair of angles, pair of adjacent angles here. These are angles, pair, we can consider this as pair of angles, but they are not adjacent. These angles are adjacent angles, these angles are adjacent angles. Now, consider a right angle, divide it into two angles, 1 and 2. Angle A, measure A and B, A degrees and B degrees. These are the parts of right angle, and they are also adjacent angles, a pair of angles, adjacent angles. What is the sum of the measures of these adjacent angles? A plus B equal to, this is a right angle, we divided the right angle into two parts, so their sum is 90 degrees and they are adjacent angles. Such adjacent angles are called complementary angles. Complementary angles. Now, what are complementary angles? Two adjacent angles have their sum 90 degrees. Then they are called complementary angles. Complementary angles. If they are not adjacent, if the angles are not adjacent, and if their sum is also 90 degrees, then also we can consider it as complementary angles. Two angles, complementary, in this way. But if they are also adjacent angles, then also we can call them complementary angles. Here, what is the sum of x and y? Because these two angles are adjacent angles and they make a measure of, sum of the measures of them is x plus y equal to 180 degrees. Two adjacent angles. Their sum is also 180 degrees. Such angles are called supplementary angles. Supplementary angles. It is sum of two angles is 180 degrees. If they are not adjacent angles but their sum is 180 degrees, then also they are called supplementary angles, as in the case of complementary angles. Two adjacent angles give us their sum 90. They are complementary angles. If they are not adjacent, if the sum of them is 90, then they are also complementary angles. Here two adjacent angles, their sum is supplementary, then they are supplementary angles. Their sum is 180 degrees, then they are supplementary angles. Now, two angles, they are not adjacent and their sum is 180, then the angles are supplementary. Angles are supplementary. So, for complementary angles and for supplementary angles, angles can be adjacent angles or not. But consider these two adjacent angles and their sum is 180. Adjacent angles, two adjacent angles give the sum of the measures 180. Such a pair of angles is called a linear pair. Linear pair. Sum of two angles 180 and they are also adjacent. All the angles giving us the sum is 180 is called supplementary angles. Are called supplementary angles. If the sum of two angles, whether they are adjacent angles or not, and their sum is 180, then they are called supplementary angles. If they are adjacent, then they are called, they make a linear pair. What is the difference between a linear pair and merely supplementary angles? A linear pair is always adjacent angles. A linear pair is formed by adjacent angles. But supplementary angles meaning if the sum of two angles, whether they are adjacent or not. So linear pair angles. Though the angles make a linear pair are also adjacent angles. Adjacent angles. And they are supplementary also. So two adjacent angles which are supplementary form a linear pair. So what will be the sum of the angles of a linear pair? They are supplementary. So the sum of the angles of linear pair is 180. Complementary angles. What are complementary angles? Pair of angles. Pair of angles which are either adjacent or non-adjacent. What is required to become complementary angles? Their sum should be 90 degrees. Their sum is 90 degrees. Whether they are adjacent or not. That is irrespective of their place, position. So, to distinguish linear pair from supplementary angles. Supplementary means sum of two angles 180, whether they are adjacent angles or not. But to form a linear pair, the angles must be adjacent. Consider lines. Suppose we are given two lines. Two lines are given. In how many ways you can arrange these two lines? One way, two lines in this way. One. Another way, this. What is the difference between these two pairs? In the first part, they have a common point. In the second case, there is no common point. Point for the. What do you call this type of lines? If two lines have a common point, we can call them intersecting lines. Intersecting lines. What about this? Non-intersecting lines. Non-intersecting lines. Can you suggest another name for non-intersecting lines? Yes, parallel lines. Parallel lines. So lines are of two types, intersecting lines and parallel lines. Why they are called parallel? Because they have no extending lines. If we can extend this to upwards and downwards without a limit, without any ending. But we can see that such two lines have never a common point. They will not touch at any point. But this two lines can be arranged in this form also with one common point. So such lines are called intersecting lines, and lines are of this form are called non-intersecting lines or parallel lines. Now, read textbook pages 89 to 92 and make a short note of what we have learned in this class. Make a short note from pages 89 to 92. With the help of figures, some figures are given in the textbook. Figures 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4 and 6.5. That is, on the basis of this part, that is the textbook pages 89 to 92. Go through it, read it, understand it, and then make a short note note of the important terms and write the definition of such terms, whatever given in the textbook, and then develop the note with the help of figures. Some figures are given, figures 6.1 to 6.5. Thank you.